It does make sense. Why do we keep forgetting our power so quickly, so easily?
Because you have been trained to. Because you have been trained to buy into fear-based beliefs that say you are not worthy, you are not deserving, you are not powerful, you are not confident, you are not trusting, you are not connected, you are out of control. Yes? These are the things that you are taught on your planet. When you grow up in your society, from your parents, your friends, your schooling. But when you become an adult, you begin to realize, hey, I was spoon-fed something that I can't digest anymore. That's not me. I needed to believe it was me for a while because other people made me believe that if I didn't believe that, they wouldn't take care of me. They wouldn't like me. I wouldn't survive.
Spread love, man.
Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes there's that feeling, isn't there, that sense you could be doing more or that something's kind of holding you back.
Definitely. It's a really common human experience, I think.
Well, today we're diving into exactly that. We're looking at this core question from an audio source we found. Why do we keep forgetting our power so quickly, so easily?
That feeling of maybe having a moment of clarity or confidence and then poof, it's gone.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack the ideas in this audio excerpt. We want to understand, what are the roots of this forgetfulness? And is there a path suggested towards holding on to that personal power more consistently?
Yeah. Let's get into it. We'll be drawing directly from the source's perspective on why we might feel disempowered and what it suggests we can do about it.
Okay, so the first big idea, and it's pretty intriguing, is that we're not actually born powerless.
Yeah.
The source suggests we're, trained is the word it uses, trained to feel that way.
Trained, yeah. Often starting really young. It talks about picking up fear-based beliefs from, parents, friends, society in general.
And it gets specific, too, listing beliefs like, you are not worthy, you are not deserving.
Right, or you are not powerful, not confident, not trusting, not connected, even out of control.
Wow, when you list them like that, it's heavy stuff. These are really fundamental undermining beliefs.
They really are. And the source suggests the reason we might take on this training initially is about survival, basically.
Survival. How so?
Well, as kids, we depend on others, right? So it suggests maybe we learn these beliefs as a way to get care or acceptance. It's like we learn to fit in, maybe dim our own light a bit to feel safe or loved.
Yeah, it makes a certain kind of sad sense, doesn't it? But then what happens when we grow up?
Well, that leads to what the source calls the adult awakening. It's this point where those old ingrained beliefs, they just don't sit right anymore.
Like they don't fit.
Exactly. The audio puts it like this. I was spoon-fed something that I can't digest anymore. That's not me. It's that dawning realization.
That feeling of, hang on, this belief system isn't actually mine.
You realize you've been carrying around, well, the source calls it other people's baggage, beliefs you inherited, essentially.
I love that analogy it uses. Your baggage weighs nothing. If you feel held back, it means you're carrying around someone else's baggage. Drop it.
It's so direct, isn't it? Just drop it. But how do we actually do that? That's the key.
Right. How do you identify and actually let go of these things?
The source says the first step is crucial. Bringing these beliefs out of the shadows, out of the unconscious, into conscious awareness. You have to actually see them clearly first.
Okay, so you look at them consciously, and the audio suggests something interesting happens then.
Yeah, it says that when you really examine them, these deeply held negative beliefs often appear completely illogical, nonsensical.
Like your adult brain looks at it and goes, wait, that makes zero sense. Why did I believe that?
Precisely. And here's a really important point the audio makes. Recognizing the belief is nonsensical. That's not the start of letting go. It's the end of it.
Oh, okay. So if you see it's absurd, it should just dissolve.
Kind of, yeah. We don't usually cling to things we consciously know are ridiculous. So if you do recognize a belief as illogical, but you still feel stuck with it.
It means there's something deeper going on.
Exactly. The audio talks about fundamental foundational beliefs, like a core belief that holds a whole bunch of other negative ones together.
Like an anchor.
Yeah, a hidden anchor. So if you're trying to release surface beliefs and it's not working, the advice is to keep digging and digging and digging to find that root, that fundamental one.
Because it might be hiding.
The source says it may hide under other beliefs. So you think you've dealt with an issue, but the root is still there, allowing it to kind of grow back. It explains why we might repeat patterns.
Okay, so this digging.
Yeah.
Does the source suggest what that fundamental belief usually is?
It does. It suggests the most common one, the one that often sits right at the bottom, is some variation of I'm not worthy.
That resonates. That feeling of just not being good enough deep down.
Yeah.
It does feel like a lot of other negative thoughts can spring from that.
It's incredibly common, apparently, and the audio directly challenges it with some pretty profound questions, like,
What?
and yet you exist. How could it be that you exist if you're not worthy of existence? It pushes back hard on that core belief.
Wow. Okay. It also asks, do you believe creation makes a mistake? It doesn't. Nothing is pointless within existence. It exists for a reason.
That's the core argument, really. Your very existence is presented as proof of your worthiness.
Let me see if I have this right. The audio says, existence must need you to exist in order for it to be complete unto itself, because if it really didn't need you, you wouldn't exist.
Exactly, and therefore...
Therefore, you are worthy by the fact that you exist, and you don't need another reason to be worthy. It flips the whole script. You don't need to earn worthiness.
You just are, by virtue of being here. And trying to argue against that, feeling unworthy, the audio basically says you're arguing with creation itself.
And you will never, ever win that argument, ever, because you cannot cease to exist.
Right. It goes deep into this idea of the enduring nature of consciousness.
Yeah, it says you may change form, but you, the you that is you, your unique consciousness cannot cease to exist. Why not?
Because by definition, there's nowhere for you to go. It's a bit mind-bending, but the point is...
Non-existence, by definition, doesn't exist. That's its quality. So if you exist, you can't become non-existent.
There's literally nowhere for you to go. Your awareness, your perspective is a fundamental part of what is.
So the implication is, stop arguing. Accept the fact of your existence as proof of your worth.
That seems to be the core message, yeah. It's presented as quite liberating. If non-existence isn't a possibility, then your existence, and therefore your worth tied to it, is just a given. So you are worthy because you exist. Full stop.
Okay, so wrapping this up then. This deep dive suggests that forgetting our power often comes from these learned, fear-based beliefs we picked up.
Often boiling down to that fundamental feeling of, I'm not worthy.
But the counter-argument presented is incredibly powerful. Our very existence contradicts that feeling. Existence itself implies inherent worth.
Exactly. Which leaves us, and you listening, with something to really think about, doesn't it?
Yeah. What's the takeaway thought?
Well, maybe consider the baggage of beliefs you might be carrying. Are they really yours? And if you dig down, what fundamental belief might be lurking underneath? Could it be some form of I'm not worthy?
And then what?
And then just maybe consider how recognizing the potential illogical nature of that deep-seated belief could start to shift things. How it might change your own experience of your power and your worth day to day.
It's not necessarily easy, but it's a powerful reframe.
It's definitely a journey of self-discovery, ongoing for sure, but understanding this perspective could be a really significant step.
Absolutely. Lots to mull over there. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today. We hope it's given you some food for thought and maybe some encouragement on your own path.